Okay, these are going to be domain and range word problems. So the first thing that you have to do is determine if the situation is discrete or continuous. And then you'll list the domain and range depending to that. And we've done that with graphs before. So you can look at your domain and range graph first notes. Then after that, we're going to determine what the domain and what the range represent in the situation. So an easy way to think of this is a domain will always be the one that you can change. It's easier if you think of the range as the one that can't change, the one that is set. Also, the range is the one that depends on the domain. So here, when you have this on, let's say, on a test, all of this is not going to be there. So this is for me to help you out. These are the ones that you're going to have to answer. So the first thing that I'm going to do is find the two things it talks about. So this is talking about bags and it's talking about jelly beans. So what represents the domain? What represents the range? So I'm going to start with the what represents the range. So the one from these two that I cannot change that is set is the jelly beans, because I'm being told that there's going to be 10 in each bag. I can't change it and put 9 if I wanted to. So this is the number of jelly beans, the ones that you cannot change. So then that means that this is the number of bags. The way that you figure out if this is discrete or continuous depends on this one. Please do not look at the range. So since the domain is a number of bags, discrete numbers are whole numbers, like 1, 2, 3. If you say that it's continuous, you're saying that you can include any decimals. So for this, I cannot have, let's say, 1.5 bags. It has to be a whole number. So this is going to be discrete. And then it helps if you create a little table. So bags is first, because that's the domain. And then jelly beans. And just read the problem to see what they tell you. So this says that for the bags, we're going to have at most 4. This is the most. So that means that I can have 3 bags, 2 bags, 1 bags, even 0 bags. That's a possibility. And then I am told that there are 10 jelly beans in each bag. So if I have 0 bags, that means I don't have jelly beans. If I have 1 bag, I have 10 jelly beans. 2 bags is 20, 3 is 30, 4 is 40. So whenever it is discrete, all you do is list the numbers on your table. So for domain 0 for the bags, 1, 2, 3, and 4. That's it. And for the range, for the jelly beans, 0, 10, 20, 30, and 40. So that's how you do it if it's discrete. For the next one, we are talking about pounds of jelly beans. And we are talking about money. So I'm going to say cost. So between these two, I'm going to start with what represents the range. So the one that I cannot change is the cost. I already know it's $4. I can't say it's going to be $3. No, it's going to be always 4. So that means that the pounds of jelly beans is the domain. And then when you're trying to figure this out, do not look at the cost. Do not look at the range. You're looking at the domain, which is pounds of jelly beans. For these, you can have decimals. I can have 1.5 pounds of jelly beans. So this is going to be continuous. But not because it's a cost. It's because of the domain in this case. And then my little table. And this is optional, but I've seen that people that skip the table sometimes are more likely to mess it up because of doing it too quickly. So this says no more than 10 pounds of jelly beans. Whenever it's continuous, you're not going to list all the numbers. You're going to have just 2 things, the most and the least. So 10 is the most. The least pounds that you can technically buy is 0. 0 is going to be in a lot of these. And then the cost is $4 for each pound of jelly beans. So if it's 0 pounds, it's $0. And if you buy 10 pounds, just multiply it by the 4, it's $40. And whenever it's continuous, you are saying that the domain and range is between these 2 numbers. So for the domain, you've done domains like this. So it's between 0 and 10 pounds. Always the smallest of the 2 first, which is 0. And then for the range, it's between 0 and 40 pounds. And that's pretty much it. So I'm going to go a little bit quicker here. We have talking about players, and we are talking about jerseys. So with the range, the one that I can't change is the jerseys because it's for sure 2 per player. So this is the number of jerseys, which means number of players is a domain. I'm going to look at the domain to figure out if this is discrete or continuous. Since number of players has to be whole numbers, I cannot have 1.5 players. This is discrete. So I have players, I have jerseys. I'm going to just put the J. We have at least 5, but no more than 7. So I know I can have 5, 6, or 7. And then for each player, it's going to be 2 jerseys. So if it's 5 players, that's 10. If it's 6, that's 12. If it's 7, that's 14. And since this is discrete, we are just listing our numbers. 5, 6, 7, 10, 12, 14. Number 4, we have David is throwing a basketball. This is talking about height, and it is talking about time. You can put seconds if you want to. Sometimes these can get confusing. So the way you want to think about it is for the range, which one depends on the other one. So for this one, the height depends on the time in seconds that have passed. So the height is the range, and then time is a domain. And majority of the time will be the domain. So if you are not 100% sure, just put time as a domain. And then time in seconds, we can have decimals. It can be 1.3 seconds. So this is going to be continuous. So whenever we do, so time and then height, it says, remember this is continuous, so I just want 2 things on the table, the most and the least. So we have no more than 7 seconds, so we can start at 0 seconds. And then the height is, the maximum height is 25. And we're going to say that the lowest is 0. So if it is continuous, you're telling me that the domain is between 0 and 7, and the height is between 0 and 25 feet. The next one we're talking about number of passes, and we're talking about the cost. So between those two, the one that I can't change is the cost because it's always going to be $6. So the number of passes is a domain, and then number of passes, I cannot have a decimal for that. It has to be 1 pass or 2 passes. So this is discrete. So passes, cost. She will buy a minimum of 2 passes and a maximum of 5. But this is discrete, so you got to list the numbers, 3, 4. And then each pass is $6, so this is 12, 18, 24, 30. That is your domain. Always double check, please, because it's so easy to do this so fast and then write it in the wrong way at the end. Okay, the last one we have, Amy is filling up her pool. We have gallons, and then we have hours. So the one that cannot be changed is the gallons because it's going to be 50 gallons per hour. And then hours or time is your domain. And I've already said this, time is going to be your domain majority of the time. For discrete or continuous, we look at this one. Since time can be decimals, this is continuous, which means I only want 2 numbers on my table. For the time, it says she will fill up her pool in 6 hours. So 6 hours is the most. The starting time is 0. And then it'll be at a rate of 50 gallons per hour. So if it's at 0 seconds, there's no water yet. And then in 6 hours, you got to multiply it. 6 times 50, so that's going to be 300. And this is continuous, so we're going to do it in an inequality. So the domain is between 0 and 6, and then the range is between 0 and 300.